Okay, now we go on to the second sutta, which is a beautiful reflection. This is on page 184. Ena Pinda Sutta. Now, pena means froth. You see sometimes river water churning, and then you have these round bubbles that call froth. Pinda means lumps, if you like. Okay? The discourse on the parable of the lump of froth, if you like. The word lump is mustard, just you cannot get it. So here there are lots of what we call comparisons for reflection. So this is where the modern psychologists and therapists, they're very excited when they read suttas like this. In fact, there's an ACT therapy, they use a lot of this kind of imageries, reflection. So this kind of sutta provide them with a lot of ideas for reflection. Let's look at it and I'll explain. Page 188. The lump of froth discourse, S22.95. At one time, the Blessed One was dwelling on the bank of the river Ganges at Ayodhya. Ayodhya is the Indian name, the Pali name is Ayodhya. Okay. Now notice, every sutta begins the Buddha staying somewhere. But here, the sutta said the Buddha was staying on the river bank. Wherever the Buddha is, he would use the things that he sees around him for Dharma teaching. And this is the wonderful thing about the Buddha. The Dharma is everywhere. For example, one day the monks are walking and see fire burning in the distance. And once the Buddha said, "Do you see that fire?" Of course, the reporter will say, "Oh, this is a good piece of news for me." And the owner will say, "Oh no, my house is burning." But the Buddha said, "Look at that fire burning. We are that fire. We are burning with greed, burning with hate, burning with delusion." So, to someone who is Dharma-minded, whatever we look around us, we are Dharma-minded. This is called being visionary. Otherwise, we are just limited to our body. Now let's say, okay, take a simple example. We come here into this library. I love libraries and books. And you look around, all the books here, mostly in Chinese here. First thing you ask us, I said, wow, look at all these Buddhist books. For me, it's very nostalgic because 30, 40 years ago, as a young Buddhist, if I could get one book like this, I'd be so happy. It's so difficult to get Buddhist books, Now, so many, right? That's one. And then again, you start reflecting and say, imagine all the minds to the 2,000 over years, the mind that had directed themselves to Buddhism and taken their time to write beautiful things about the Dharma. Amazing how the Dharma has inspired beauty and truth in all these people. So when you reflect like that, you become creative, you become happy. Okay? So this is where we become very rich mentally. This is really wonderful. You become happy. Right? Okay, then the Buddha continues. We are on page 188. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus. Okay, now comes the first parable. Bhikshus, suppose that the river Ganges were carrying along a great lump of froth. A man with good eyes would look at it, ponder over it, and wisely examine it. Okay, there you are. You don't like to read sutta books, it's okay. You don't like to come to Dharma talk, it's okay. You don't like to go to temple, it's okay. But wherever you go, you cannot escape. The Dharma is there. So you just look on it, you can see. But you must have some training, of course. If you don't have training, you don't know what it is. Or maybe the training could come for past lives, So like I said, you can't really escape from it. You see it and you reflect. So this is called the wise man. It would appear to him to be void, hollow, without essence. This is the doctrine of emptiness. Here you are. This is, if somebody asks you, where all this idea of emptiness come from? This is one of the places. Ena Pinda Sutta. For what essence could there be in a lump of froth? So too, bhikshus, whatever kind of form there is, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. A monk looks at it, ponders over it, and wisely examines it. And it would appear to him to be void, hollow, without essence. For what essence could there be in form? So we look at those things in the river, the froth. It's just like my body. This body also empty. Empty in the sense that this body is changing. We have no control over it. And we can't say don't get sick. The body has its own cause, and it's called a sharp line. We reflect in that way. Now when you reflect in that way, you become brave, courageous. You're not afraid of sickness. You're not afraid of death, because we know that's the nature of things, and we know there is rebirth. So it's very important to understand this is called a de-traumatizing effect when we study Buddhism. Buddhism makes us courageous. But the word courageous comes the word Kaur, C-O-U-R. It means heart, to have a heart, strong heart, right? If you like. Another interesting thing is, this is a reflection on the four elements. You see the element out there, and you see the element inside you. Let's say the bubble is made of water, right? There is also water inside you. So it goes in a cycle back and forth like that. I am that water. The water in me and the water out there is the same water. They are both impermanent. Reflect on them. Yeah? And that is meditation. You don't have to sit into jhana if you can't climb to. You can reflect that way. You constantly reflect that way, then you strengthen yourself, especially in the face of difficulties and problems. You become truly strong in a spiritual sense. Then the second reflection, the water bubble. Bhikshus, suppose that in autumn, when it is raining and large raindrops are falling, a water bubble appears and bursts on the water surface. Okay, here you have provisional teaching, right? Because it's weather, this kind of season only in India, right? But the Buddha is talking about it in a beautiful way. Autumn, there's coming soon, all right? Before winter. So there will be a lot of rain. In Singapore, it's rain all the time. And you see water bubbles on the surface of water. A man with good eyes will look at it, ponder over it, and wisely examine it. And it would appear to him to be void, hollow, without essence. For what essence could there be in a water bubble? So too, bhikshus, whatever kind of feeling there is. Okay, there you are. Now, just now we have a lump of froth compares to the body. Now we have this water bubble compares to feeling. Right? Imagine heavy rain outside, and then you see as the rain hits the ground, bubbles are formed. And then the bubble disappears very fast in this case. Our feelings are also like that. Then the Buddha says, all kinds of feelings. So the next passage, section 6, refers to what's called the totality formula. In other words, any kind of feeling, whether past, present, or future, classification according to time, internal or external. Okay, one meaning is internal means your own experience, external means other people. Another meaning is internal means your five physical senses. External means your five physical senses, internal is your mind. Okay? Gross or subtle. Gross here refers especially to your physical senses, subtle is your mental, your ideas in your mind. Inferior or superior. Inferior means our world of senses here, and superior are the higher realms, the form realm, formless realm. Even in those realms, if feeling exists, then it is also impermanent, just like over here. Far or near, in this universe or anywhere else. Remember, the Buddha talked about parallel universes. The Buddha says, just as there are beings like us, all the heavens and so on, there are other realms elsewhere, just like this. This is a statement on parallel universes, but still, feeling of being permanent, like here. So, here a monk or a meditator looks at it, ponders over it, and wisely examines it. It will appear to him to be void, hollow, without essence. For what essence could there be in feelings? Reflecting on our feelings as impermanent. Okay, this is a theory. So you may ask, okay, how to make it into practice? Some unhappy feeling arises. You can counsel, say you're doing counseling and this person in front of you has got depression. So one way to teach this person to tell the person, look, all these feelings you are feeling, will it last forever? Of course the person will say no. Say exactly, remember, it is impermanent. So reflect on it. How does it last longer? It lasts longer when you start feeding it, you start thinking, oh, I'm suffering, then it becomes longer. So that's the way you reflect on the nature of impermanence of feeling. So the deeper you study this kind of text, the more you understand the working of the mind. This is what the psychotherapists are doing today. They are quoting the suttas, they are using all these imageries, It's just like any Dharma teacher would do. But they are using it for their psychotherapy. Now the third imagery, the mirage, section 7. Bhikshus, suppose that in the last month of the hot season, notice all about seasons here, at high noon, the mirage appears, right, so warm, very hot. So when you drive on the road, you see, middle of the day, very hot, on the tarmac, some kind of heat, and then you see this, the road, as if the road is floating. But this is worse. The mirage appears. A man with good eyes will look at it, ponders over it, and wisely examine it. And it would appear to him to be void, hollow, without essence. For what essence could there be in a mirage? By the way, a mirage is interesting, A mirage is real. Because you can see it, you see. It's real. But what kind of reality is it? It is virtual reality. It is not true reality. Actually, two kinds of reality. Okay? So, it's not always what you see is what you get. In the case of the mirage, you do see it, but it's not what you get. So it is what you call not real. A man with good eyes will look at it, ponder over it, and wisely examine it, and so on. 8. So too bhikshus, whatever kind of perception there is. So mirage, perception compares to a mirage. Why? Because we create this idea in our mind when we perceive something, when we recognize something. Whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. A monk looks at it, ponders over it, and wisely examines it. And it would appear to him to be void, hollow, without essence. For what essence could there be in perception? And now number 4, the plantain trunk. Now plantain and banana, they belong to more or less the same family. Banana, you can eat it like that, whereas plantain normally we use it for cooking. Right? Section 9. Bhikshus, suppose that a man needing hardwood. Hardwood is really hard wood for making furniture and so on. Seeking hardwood, wandering in search of hardwood, would take a sharp axe and enter a forest. Then he would see the trunk of a large plantain tree, straight, fresh, without a solid pith. The banana trunk is very soft. He would cut it down at the root, cut off the crown and unroll the coil. As he unrolls the coil, he could not find even softwood, let alone hardwood. Right? You open up the trunk of the plantain tree or banana tree. There's nothing there, like onion. You just open up layer by layer, empty. A man with good eyes would look at it, ponder over it, and wisely examine it. And it would appear to him to be void, hollow, without essence. For what essence could there be in a plantain tree? So too bhikshus, whatever kind of formations there are. So here, formation, also empty. Karma also, like that. Formations are karma. Sometimes a good karma can ripen all at one time until you don't know what to do. For example, let's say, sometimes suddenly I got so many books until I don't know what to do with them. I say, okay, more than what I can read. Especially you do a report. I think you got 4 or 5 books, more than enough. And here you got 100 books, you have to read all of them and you're suffering, right? So when good karma ripens, it's not always good, It's too much of a good thing, also not good. The idea is you have just enough, right? So this is the reflection here. And these formations, meaning how you respond to your situation, karma, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. Right? You should look at it just as it is. Okay? And now the last reflection, number 5. Section 12, the magic illusion. Bhikshus, suppose that a magician or a magician's apprentice were to display a magical illusion at a crossroads. Right? So it's giving a magic show. Why a crossroads? Because that's the best place to get audience. And the crossroads also is a place where people change direction. So these are very symbolic. A man with good eyes would look at it, ponder over it, and wisely examine it. And it would appear to him to be void, hollow, without essence. For what essence could there be in a magical illusion? There's this very wise monk called Nyanananda in Sri Lanka. He wrote a book, about explaining one of the suttas, and he used the parable of the magic show, magic illusion. But he says, imagine, you're not watching the show, you are behind the stage, watching how the magician performs, that you know all the tricks. So he's explaining how our consciousness works. Okay, so our consciousness is like this magician. Our consciousness see things, hear, taste, touch, smell, and things, and put together this show called life. That's consciousness. So again, the Buddha says this consciousness, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, you must look at it just like this magician playing tricks on us. So don't get tricked, be wise. How do you become wise? Always remember these things are impermanent, unsatisfactory, non-self. Or in one word, mind-made. So the Buddha says, you reflect in all this way or any of these 5 ways even, revulsion will arise. Revulsion is like, you got burnt one day by this oven, hot oven, electrical plate. Next time you never touch it again. You won't be like a scientist and say, no, I got to try 100 times and I get the average, You got no more fingers left after that. It's hot and burning, one time is enough. That's called revulsion. Never do it again. Section 14. Seeing thus, Bhikshus, the instructed noble disciple is revulsed or disillusioned towards form, is revulsed towards feelings too, is revulsed towards perception too, is revulsed towards formations too, is revulsed towards consciousness too. Through revulsion, it becomes dispassionate. In other words, abandons lust, is no more attracted to all these things. Through passion, his mind is free. Through dispassion, his mind is free. Because it's the dispassion, it is craving that imprisons, shortens the leash on our mind. When it is free, there arises the knowledge, free the mind. In other words, you know it. He understands, destroys his birth. The holy life has been lived. What needs to be done has been done. There is no more of this state of being. This is what the Buddha said. Now once you see this line, this is what the Buddha said, this is a cue. You mean the teaching ends there. The next things are all spoken by the council members, the monks who compile the suttas. Having said this, the well-gone one, the teacher further said this. Okay, there's something more here. It's like the credit section of the movie. Everything put into poem now. Okay? Some people say it is the poem the Buddha actually gave, and then the sutta part is written by the monk to make the teaching clear. So we're still not sure of this anyway. Okay, so this is a very beautiful poem. Like a lump of froth is form, like a water bubble are feelings, like a mirage perception, formations like a plantain trunk, and like an illusion is consciousness. So the kinsman of the sun has shown. Kinsman of the sun is the Buddha. However, one may ponder over it when wisely one examines it. It appears hollow and empty. When one sees it wisely, and regarding this body, the one of wisdom vast has taught that with the abandoning of 3 you see this form discarded. When vitality, heat and consciousness leave this physical body, then it lies there cast away, without volition, food for others. That is to say, just this continuum, continuum means whatever continues, this illusion, a fool's prattle or deceiving fools, a murderer, this is shown to be. Here no substance is found. A monk with energy roused should look upon the aggregates thus, whether by day or by night, fully aware, ever mindful. One should abandon all the fetters and make oneself a refuge. Let one fare as with a head ablaze, yearning for the death-free state. So in other words, imagine your turban is on fire, you definitely want to throw that turban away. So you got to live life mindfully, carefully, sense. Okay, that's the sutta. Is there any questions? It's a very beautiful reflection. You know what those forest monks will do? They will take this sutta completely and listen and then they meditate. Yes?
It's on the top, 2.1.6.
216, okay?
What are the three characteristics? What are the three characteristics?
Okay, the three universal characteristics. Impermanence, unsatisfactoriness or dukkha, anicca, dukkha, and anatta. Non-self. Okay, let me just write on the board for you.
Dukkha, anatta, and
He goes normally anicca.
anicca.
Anicca, permanence, dukkha, unsatisfactoriness or suffering, and anatta, non-self. They go in a very simple sequence. The first most important fact, everything is impermanent. Right? The Buddha liked to begin with a kind of Socratic way of questioning. He said, do you agree everything is impermanent? And generally the audience say, okay, yes. Okay, if something is impermanent, in fact everything in this world is impermanent, therefore you can't really have full satisfaction with them. That's called dukkha. Okay? And whatever is impermanent and unsatisfactory, anicca and dukkha, they have no self. There is no abiding entity, there's no essence in it, because everything is changing. Whatever exists must change. To exist means to change. So you cannot say something eternal exists. That doesn't make sense, because eternal means don't change. Right? So this is a very deep reflection. Buddha Gosha talks about reflection on our life in stages. Okay? This is from page 185. He calls it the 10 stages of a human being. The decades or decades. Can you see the page 185? This is from the Visuddhimagga, the path of purity. Here, as to these decades, firstly, the first 10 years of a person living for 100 years are called the tender decade, Manda Dasaka, for he is a tender, unsteady child then. So the Buddha Gosha divided into our life a series of 10 years, 10. So first 10 is called tender decade. The next 10 are called the playful decade, for he delights in play then. So they'll be about under 20. And the next 10 are called the beautiful decade, for beauty reaches full bloom then. The next 10 are called the strong decade, for his power and strength reach full abundance then. The next 10 are called the wise decade, for by then his wisdom is well established. Even in one naturally weak in wisdom, at this time there arises at least some wisdom. The next 10, number 6, 10 are called the declining decade, for his fondness for play, his beauty, strength and wisdom decline then. Okay, so this is my decade now. I hope my wisdom is not declining. 7, the next 10 are called the stooping decade. Stooping means bend down. For his figure stoops forward then. Alright? And the next 10 are called the bent decade. For his figure is bent like the tip of a cloud. And the next 10 are called the silly decade. For he becomes silly and forgets whatever he does there. The next 10 are called the prone decade. Prone is lied up flat. For the centenarian, mostly lies prone. Okay? So this is Buddha Gosha's observation. And if you do English literature, you find Shakespeare also has got this idea, but he calls it the 7 ages of man. This is from page 106. I'll just read through it quickly. So this is from As You Like It, Act 2, Scene 7, line 1 to 7 onwards. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first the infant mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like a snail, unwillingly to school. And then the lover sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow. Then the soldier full of strange oaths and bearded like a hard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubbled reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice in fair round belly and the good capon lined with eyes severe and beard of former cut, full of wise souls and modern instances, and so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved and a world too wide, for his shrunk shank and his big manly voice, turning again towards childish trouble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Some teeth, some eyes, some taste, some everything. So this is Shakespeare, no? Very similar. This one is 10 and 7.
I just thought of 2 things of Piya.
Yeah.
One is in the Buddha's 10 decades, the wise one is 40 to 50, 41 to 50.
Alright.
That's when he became the right.
Yeah.
So this one fits himself.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The time people are seeking,
And then, but he went on to teach another 40 years old.
45.
And especially the 9th decade, he became silly. That doesn't quite make sense.
Oh, well, in the case of the Buddha, even in the last year, he says, mind is very sharp.
Yeah. And then if you compare Shakespeare, the 7 ages, in 1599, when this was written, the age span was maybe 50, 60 years in the manuscript. So if you look at the fifth age, which is the justice age, that is 51 to 16. And that is when people become wise.
Yeah, that's right. So slower, slower development. Well, the temple should provide opportunity for everybody who comes, because we know who will come. And also, we must think of the past, present, future. So it's not easy. Okay. So we have the different departments. And remember the roots. We must never forget our roots go back to the Buddha, the deepest roots. And yes, we have a Chinese temple, but we also, it's the Buddha's temple. So there are many things we have to consider. And a successful temple will try to draw in the right people in the right way and get on all of them to contribute in their own right way. That would be very wonderful. And again, we got to study how the different temples in different places today operate also. For example, in Australia, in America, in China even. Nowadays you see Buddhism coming up in China. So it's very interesting to learn how they're developing also. So from there, we get a lot of ideas. What I'm saying is, if you are creative, imaginative, no matter what age, you can always draw a crowd. But the question is whether you want to draw a crowd or you want to draw wisdom. Again, you have to decide. So definitely this kind of teaching, you can't teach to a big crowd because it's difficult. No? And I won't be able to work if I teach to a big crowd either. There are things I need to do by myself. And the Buddha, before he became Buddha, he ran away from the crowd. Because you can't be really mentally awakened if you're crowded, a lot of scattered. So there's a time you have to go away, there's a time to come back. So there's always a time for everything, and all this put together create a very versatile kind of Buddhism. I think that's the secret of success of Buddhism. We are versatile. So we must know when to do the right thing. It's also called skillful means. Although the Buddha addresses the monks because the monks are full-timers, but remember, the monks are sitting here, let's say, imagine, and there are also lay people in the periphery. Okay? Because lay people are working, so obviously they are not there all the time. For example, once the Buddha was teaching to the monks, so the monks look at that, oh, these things are impermanent, no point owning them, And then there was a cow herd beside him nearby, and the cow said, yeah, I want to become a monk right now. The Buddha said, oh no, you should not. Give back the cows first. Return the cows first. So the lay people do listen. It's because the monks are the full-timers, so the Buddha addressed the monks. But in the commentaries, for example, in the meditation suttas, Buddha Ghosha, the sutta commentator, says the word monk here in Satipatthana Sutta refers to the meditator. Because it is the meditation that defines the monk. A bhikkhu bhava. Because why? The purpose of being a monk is to meditate, to calm himself, attain higher levels of awakening. So when we are meditating very deeply, we are in a renounced state also. Just like a monk is meditating, no difference. When you come out of it, then you are different. So meditation rises up beyond classification, classes and so on. So this is a very beautiful spiritual teaching. In that sense, you don't need to become a monk to meditate, for example, to get enlightened, for example. That's the meaning. Of course, being a monk is the highway to awakening. It's meant to be quick, easy, and you go straight towards awakening. So they have a choice for us. Layman life as well as renounced life, in other words. But remember, the real renunciation happens through meditation. Because once you sit down to meditate, what happens? You let go of the body first. You sit very quietly, and then let go of the mind, and then peace comes like that, and then you come back. Okay?
Mention the 3 trainings. Can you just
Sorry?
explain the 3 trainings?
3 trainings. All right, let me just write them down. Three. Sutta means training. Okay? Sila Sita, training in moral virtue. Training in moral virtue, keeping our precepts. It deals with the body and speech. Second one is called Samadhi Sikha. Concentration training. Concentration, here meaning meditation. Mental cultivation. So deal with the mind. Actually, it's the opposite line. This one should be down. And then, Sila Samadhi. Anya. Anya means wisdom. Anya Sikha. Training in wisdom. So first we have to learn to calm our body, so to speak. Very simply, we've got to learn to be healthy, learn to keep this body, not to torture it, and then keep it calm in the sense that it doesn't get itself into trouble, especially the first 2 precepts, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. Right? On the positive side, why these 3 precepts are there? Because number 1, we value life. So we should value our life. Number 2, value happiness. Number 3, value freedom. Okay, that's a bit philosophical side. So that's to do with the first training. Second training, the mind. The purpose of a healthy body is to support a healthy mind. Healthy mind means free of greed, hate, delusion. And a mind that is calm and clear. Why? Because it will bring wisdom. Third training. Wisdom is what frees us from suffering. This one applies to all, whether man, whether monk or lay, monastic or lay. So the idea here is to be free from suffering. The idea here is, in Singapore we have a special situation because we are a young country. We are growing so fast. And in 2015, Singapore is going to push out Switzerland and be the financial center of the world. Even today, you find like 15% of Singaporean families are millionaire families. So we are very comfortable people mostly here. So in a sense, we don't see suffering. Not much anyway. So that is why maybe a different approach from Buddhism should be used. Perhaps talk about mental development, because at one time, meditation, things like that. But then again, whatever it is, there's always the last form of suffering. We've got three kinds of suffering. Suffering which is physical, suffering which is suffering due to change, and the last one, suffering that aggregates, is always there. People feel stressful, for example. Or sometimes when we have everything, then we begin to ask ourselves, what is the meaning of all this? So meaning and purpose in life is also very important. So this is where Buddhism can help us. Meaning and purpose of life are found in the Four Noble Truths. The first two truths, life is suffering, statement of suffering. Second, the cause of suffering. That gives us meaning in life. That's what life is. Wherever you go, wherever you look. Then the third and fourth noble truth. Third noble truth, nirvana. Fourth noble truth, the path to end suffering. This is purpose in life. So remember, reflect on this. Okay? Noble truth 1 and 2, meaning of life. Noble truth 3 and 4, purpose of life. Once you understand the meaning of life, then you are purpose-driven. That's how it works. So the Buddha gave his teaching in a beautiful, meaningful way. Right? So what I feel is we should definitely have some quality level to the Dharma elements. So this is where I think sooner or later we have to go back to the suttas. And then from there, you simplify the sutta, make it interesting, use stories. You don't have to teach the way I teach, because this is something I've been wanting to do for the last 50, 60 years, my whole life. So it's something that makes me very joyful and very happy. And I don't think everybody can do that. But you definitely can take one or two suttas, use it, and then interpret it. Then you find you are doing something Dhamma-based. Otherwise, you are no different from, say, any other group, right? So it is something that can make a place that is meaningful, in other words. Okay? So you got to learn to adjust, use your genius and your skillful means to attract the people. Next thing is like an investment. You do now, it's going to take a few years to flower. So you got to lay the groundwork, plan ahead. Okay? Any other question?
That's T-sika, is it T-I?
T means three, yeah. In Sanskrit, it would be trisika or tri-shiksha, shiksha. Or sika. Yeah, shiksha. You know the word Sikh, S-I-K-H, come from the same word. Sikh, the Sikhs of the turbans.
Yeah.
Because the word also means student. And then in Malay, you have siksa, you know, siksa?
No.
Siksa means suffering in Malay. It comes from the same word, siksha in Sanskrit. It's the same word. Meaning training. But in Thai, siksa means education. So you have different cultural perception of the word. It comes from the same word, sikha. Training. Okay, let's just do a short reflection here. Once again, we've gathered together here, as we have done for many, many years, for our own blessing, for the blessing of this place, to create a wonderful atmosphere of peace, joy, loving kindness here. Because it is this peaceful and wonderful feeling that attracts people and keeps people, and also make them benefit, feel at peace themselves. What we want them to do is when they come here, they also bring a part of this temple with them, an intangible part, a spiritual part, peace, joy. So wherever they go, they have this temple with them. And wherever we go, we have this temple with us. For this temple comes down from the Buddha himself. When we think in that way, then we are charging ourselves with this wonderful Dharma energy to work, to imagine, to have ideas, inspire people. Reflecting in this way is very good mental karma. But the power of all this good karma and many other good karma we have done through our generosity, our faith in the three jewels, our dedication to work in this temple and the Dharma. May we attain mental peace in all our meditations. May in this life itself especially we attain spiritual liberation in this dream way. In this moment of peace, let us send out our loving kindness to all the devas and beings in this area. May all the people who work in this place, who support this place, be well and happy too. May we send our loving kindness to our family and loved ones, and even to our enemies and those who are still untouched by the Dharma, that the Dharma may touch them and bring them happiness and goodness. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.